So let's get rid of this layer now and look at something else I can do with layers. I can also add what's called an adjustment layer. Right here we have this little symbol. It looks kind of like a yin-yang symbol. It's a circle with a slash going across. The top part is white and the other part's gray. If I click on that, you can see I have all these different types of adjustment layers. They are also right up here under adjustments. I've got things like brightness and contrast, levels, curves, exposure, and with these I can make changes to my image. So for example, I could say I want to add a black and white adjustment layer, and you'll see it's going to add a layer here that has a black and white filter over it, and I can now adjust that filter, right? Let's say that rather than that, I would like to add a color balance adjustment layer. And that gives me these adjustments where I can say, oh, there's too much cyan, I want to move more red, too much green, I want to move more magenta. For example, let's say that this is kind of yellow looking. All I would need to do is add a little more blue, and you'll see it'll tone down the yellow colors. Get too much blue, and then I need to go a little more yellow. So I can use this to make some adjustments to my image without, again, actually causing any issues to the image itself. This is just a layer, so I could hide that layer and I've got my original image, show it, and I have those color adjustments that I made to it. So a whole bunch of different adjustment types of adjustment layers that I can add to adjust things like brightness and contrast, hue, saturation, in a way that doesn't affect the original image, but just lays it over it like a layer. Actually, as a layer, I should say. Alright, so another thing that I have, let's go ahead and look at layer styles, which is this thing here that says, FX, okay? So with the layer styles, I have all these things like I can do strokes and inner shadows and gradient overlays. Another way to see layer styles is to double click on the layer image itself, okay? So I can go ahead and click on that image there. Now what I would really do, because I don't want to damage this original one, I would right click on it and I would say, let's see here, right click on it and I would say I want to duplicate that layer. And now I've got a second copy of it that I can put a style on without harming the original. So now I'm going to go to this, let's just double click on the image icon and it opens up my layer styles here. So I've got things like bevel, emboss, contour, texture. With shapes that would work better. Since this is an image, maybe I could do something like, well, we could bevel and emboss the sides of it. So here we have bevel and emboss. You can see it's put a little bit of a bevel around the outside of the image. If I want to increase the depth of that bevel, I can here. If I want to adjust the size of it, I can there. Soften it up right there. I can adjust the shading, all sorts of adjustments, and then I can apply it, and I've got a beveled edge around my image. Now if I had a circle on here or another shape, I could just do it on that layer and I would apply that style to that individual layer. This style is not applied to the picture as a whole, but to the layer that I applied it to. So again, that's under FX right here, or under just by double clicking the icon of the layer, and it'll pop up this thing, and we have all these different type of styles that you can do over there on the side. Now another thing that I can do, I can group my layers. Sometimes I get a lot of layers in here and it gets hard to keep track of what's what. Well, I can just click on my layers and hold down shift and click so I clicked the top one and then held shift and clicked the bottom one. It selected them all. And now I can come and click this little folder here, and that'll make a layer group. I can go ahead and, well, just go and drag those in there. And now you see I can minimize that, and I can say, oh, these are the Thanksgiving adjustments. And I could click on that and I've got everything there available, that little arrow to the left of the folder, but it allows me to kind of keep things tucked away when I start getting to a point where I have a lot of layers that I'm working with. Let's undo that. Another thing that I can do with my layers is I can merge them. Now I need to be careful merging my layers, because if I merge my layers, then I lose my layers. So I could select all these, and I could just right click and I could say I want to merge my layers, okay? And it would make them all one layer, just flatten them down. I've got them all in one layer now. but maybe I want to have those original layers, but I also, for a particular effect or something I'm applying, I need to have a layer that contains all of the elements of these layers. Sometimes there's certain things you need to do where you've applied these different effects and you need a layer that has all of it so that you can then move forward from there. Well, there's a great keyboard shortcut that allows you to make a merged layer without deleting the original ones. And what that is you just hold Shift and then Option and then Command and then E. Now that's the Mac shortcut. Shift, Option, Command E, and you'll see it created a layer 1 that is the combination of all these layers. If I hide these layers, you'll see it has all the effects that I had done below there, but I still have the original layers. I could then make a group of them called originals, just so I knew where they were. On the PC, that shortcut is Shift, Alt, Control, E. Now, that's layers, and layers are, again, extremely useful. One thing, though, to note, layers do make file sizes bigger. So if you have a big Photoshop file with a lot of different layers, it's going to be a huge file. So sometimes when you're sending a Photoshop file to people, you're sending it as a PDF. And a way to kind of make that PDF smaller when you've got a lot of layers, if I come up to File and Save As, and I choose I want to do this as a PDF, I can uncheck this box that says layers, and it won't actually include the layer, just the final image, and that will make the file size a lot smaller and easier to submit. So that is layers. In the next video, we're going to be talking about working with masks, which utilizes both the selection tools that we did in the last video and the layers that we learned in this one.